Assalamu alaikum. In this video, we are going to understand moderation and mediation analysis by Andrew and Hayes process macro. This tutorial covers 7 points. Number 1, what are the different types of variables? Number 2, what is moderating and a mediating variable? Number 3, what is mediation, which covers direct effect, indirect effect and total effect. Number 4, what is moderation analysis? Number 5, what is moderated mediation analysis? Number 6, what is mediated moderation analysis? And 7, what is process macro and how to use it? Normally there are 4 types of variables in a particular research model. Number 1, independent variable. Number 2, dependent variable. Number 3, moderating variable. And number 4, mediating variable. So in this particular example, here you can see that smoking has a negative relationship with health, or in other way, smoking has a negative impact on health. Since in this particular example, health is influenced by smoking, so health is dependent variable and smoking is independent variable. Here in this example, we can see that training has a positive relationship with performance, or in other words, training has a positive impact on performance. So the performance is dependent variable and training is independent variable. In order to identify which variable is dependent and which variable is independent in a particular research model, we can understand or identify with the help of arrow. Head of the arrow basically represent the dependent variable and tail of the arrow represent the independent variable. So here we can see that the training is independent variable and the performance is dependent variable. When there is a relationship between independent and dependent variable and there is another third variable exists in between the independent and dependent variable, then the third variable is called mediating variable or the intervening variable. So here in this example, you can see that the training and the performance are independent and dependent variable, but there is another third variable which is learning exists in between both of them. So here you can see that the learning basically mediate the impact of training on performance. So the basically learning is a mediating variable and the objective of the mediating variable is to carry the effect of independent variable on dependent. So here in this particular example, learning is a mediating variable which carries the impact of training on performance. So the performance is a dependent variable. So in this particular example, we can say that learning play role of mediating variable. Whereas moderating variable moderates the relationship between the independent and dependent variables. So in other words, you can say that the moderating variable is a variable which moderates the relationship between two variables. So in this particular example, you can see that the training has impact on learning, but this impact is moderated by the quality of the trainer. So higher the quality of the trainer, the higher the impact of training on the learning. Lower the quality of the trainer has the lower impact of training on the learning. So in this way, trainer basically moderate the impact of training on learning. So basically moderating is also called a intervening variable because it also intervene between two variables in terms of impacting the dependent variable. We can also understand the mediating variable and the moderating variable through a simple daily life example. For example, a father gives $100 to a mother and then mother gives $50 to a child. So here the mother play a role of mediating variable because the mother gives $50 out of $100 to a child. So the mother is here basically a mediating variable, because whatever father gives to mother and the mother gives to the child from that amount which given by the father. And similarly, when we understand the moderating impact of the mother, so we can understand here when the father gives money directly to the child and the presence and absence of the mother basically influences or moderated the amount given to the child by the father. Might be the mother influences the father to gives $100, or might be mother influences the father to gives $50. So in this way, the mother here plays a moderating role which impacts the relationship between the father and the child. Holistically, we can understand through this particular model. Here you can see that the father is independent variable, the child is dependent variable, and the mother is mediating variable. So here you can see in this particular model, father directly gives $15 to the child and $100 to the mother, and then mother gives $50 to the child. So here basically the direct effect is $15, which is from father to the child, and indirect effect is $50, which is through the mother to the child. So the father in this way gives total amount of $15 directly to the child and $50 indirectly to the mother. So here we can identify indirect effect is $50 and direct effect is $15, and the total effect sum of the 50 and the 15. So you can say that the indirect plus direct is the total effect. Total effect is $65. So here we can understand how the mediation basically plays the role in the model, and the model has a number of different variables. In order to understand the mediation and moderation analysis in SPSS, we usually follow process macro analysis, which is developed and introduced by Professor Dr. Andrew and Hayes. Professor Dr. Andrew and Hayes introduced 76 models for conducting mediation and moderation analysis in SPSS through process macro analysis. Let us discuss a few of those models so that we can have a proper understanding of mediation and moderation analysis. This is a PDF file. Here you can see a number of different models. Let's discuss a few of them here. Model 1, here you can see that X is the independent variable, Y is the dependent variable, and basically M is the moderating variable. So when we do analysis in SPSS, we use model 1 for analyzing the moderation effect on independent and dependent variables. So when we have a more than one moderating variables, then we usually choose model 2. Here you can see that the M and W are two moderating variables which are basically moderating the impact of independent variable on dependent variable, which is Y. So similarly, when we have two moderating variables, here in this particular model number 3, you can see that M is moderating the relationship between X and Y, whereas another variable which is W, which basically moderate the impact of moderating variable on the relationship between X and Y. When we have such kind of model, then we usually choose model 3 for conducting the moderated moderation analysis. So here we can say that this model 3 basically reflects moderated moderation analysis. So whenever we are going to analyze such kind of relationship, we use model 3, which is moderated moderation analysis. And similarly, when we have a mediating variable, then we choose model 4. And here you can see that X is independent variable, Y is dependent variable, and M is a mediating variable. So whenever we are going to analyze mediating impact through SPSS, then we choose model 4 in process macro analysis. And similarly, when we have a more than one mediating variable, then we choose a number of different models. For example, when we have a two mediating variable M1 and M2, then we choose model 6. And similarly, when we have a three mediating variable, then we select model 6. And when we have a mediating model, but there is another variable which is moderating the impact of independent variable on the dependent variable, then we choose model 7. So this model 7 basically is for moderated mediation analysis. So whenever we are going to understand this particular moderated mediation analysis, then we choose model 7 in process macro analysis. And when we have a moderating variable on the relationship between mediating and the dependent variable, then we usually select model 14. So here we can see that the V is the basically moderating variable between the mediating and the dependent variable. So this particular model 14 reflects the moderated mediation analysis. So whenever we do moderation mediation analysis in SPSS, then we basically follow this process macro models. Either we choose model 14, either we choose the model 1, or either we choose any particular model. So it depends on the way we are going to analyze the moderation mediation analysis. So I hope in this particular video you understand basically what is moderation and mediation analysis, and what are the different types of the variables in this analysis, and what does mean moderated moderation analysis, moderated mediation analysis, and mediated moderation analysis. So we basically choose models accordingly what are the types of analysis we are going to choose. So in the next video, I'm going to discuss what is process macro and how to use it in SPSS. Actually, we have to download extension to install in our SPSS for conducting the moderation and mediation analysis. If you have any kind of a question, you can ask me in a comment section. I will try to answer your question. Take care. Allah Hafiz.